my name is Erin. I work for the North Dakota Space Grant, and today I'm going to be walking you through an activity called Strange New Planet. Starting off, the first thing you're going to need to do is make planets. Here's an example of one that I made. So they can either be made by a teacher ahead of time or by students during class time. The students will want to divide into groups of like 4 or 5 students, so different students can make a planet for a different group. Students shouldn't see the planet that their group will be studying before the actual exercise starts. Ask students not to peek at these mysterious, strange new planets. For us here on Earth, these planets are millions of miles away and you'd never be able to see them with your naked eye. So be sure to only look at them when it's your turn to look at them and through the appropriate instruments. So to make a planet, you just need a styrofoam ball and basic craft supplies. You can put identifying features on the planets that maybe mimic features in our own solar system. For example, this little red spot here I made to kind of mimic the red spot on Jupiter. You can really customize the planets to include any features that you've been discussing in class or any features that you want students to learn more about. Your planets can also have the addition of moons or even rings if you want it to be a little bit more detailed. You're also going to need a cup to keep the planets stable as they're round. You don't want them to roll off the table. A garbage bag or a sheet or something to cover up the planets so students don't see them the entire time. You want to divide students up into groups of about 4 or 5. There are 4 different active roles in it. The 5th role would be mission control, which in a group of 4, everyone could just be considered mission control. That 5th person, if you do divide it into groups of 5, would be in charge of receiving the observations from the students who are going out on their missions, as well as making sketches and writing down kind of the group's thoughts. When you do divide students up, you want to make sure that they have a number or a name for their team. We like to use the names of different NASA research centers. This will be something that you can set in front of their planet, so if there's 4 groups, everyone knows what planet they're supposed to be focusing on once they go out and look at their planets. Once you have your planets made, the next thing you're going to need is some sort of piping. This is just a PVC pipe. You could use poster tubes or old paper towel rolls. They would all work as long as students can look through them. This is going to act as their telescope. So this exercise walks students through kind of the steps that NASA or other space agencies will go to when discovering and starting to research a planet. Astronomers would look out into the night sky with their telescopes, and using math and physics they were able to determine if the light they were seeing was from a planet or a faraway star. So that's where we're going to start today. You're going to want to take your telescope and a blue filter. This will represent the atmosphere that you can put over the top, and students can kind of look through and look at their planet from the other side of the room. The next step to this would be to remove the atmosphere. After the use of telescopes here on Earth, we then want to shed the atmosphere. As you can tell from the blue filter, the atmosphere is going to distort the color and the way a planet looks. So we want to get rid of that, put a space telescope outside of our atmosphere so it can't affect it, and look at the planet that way. So what does NASA and space agencies do after they've seen a planet through telescopes on Earth and in space? Well, the next step is to get closer to it. We want to be able to maybe see it from a couple different angles and just learn more about it from a closer distance. So the next thing they're going to do is a flyby mission. The student who has been designated as the flyby person is going to put their arms out and they're going to fly towards the planet and then skirt it around the edge and walk away, but getting a better glimpse at the side of the planet as well as the front of it from a closer view. At this point, for the first time, you're going to remove the garbage bag from the planet completely. So the flyby students shouldn't have been able to see fully the back, kind of just a side profile in the front. So after earthbound telescopes, satellites, and flyby missions, the next step is an orbiter. Orbiter is another type of satellite that's going to approach the planet, and once it gets close, it's going to get pulled into an orbit. So it'll continue to rotate around the planet. This is the same kind of thing like our International Space Station is an orbiter, and many of our weather satellites are also considered orbiters. The next step, the student who's been designated as the orbiter is going to put their arms out and they're going to go fly around the planet. At this point, they'll also be able to see if maybe you had an extra moon on the back or some rings. At this point, the students are going to be able to get a full picture of their complete planet to communicate back to mission control and the rest of their team. The final step in the mission, after we have earthbound telescopes, satellites, flybys, and orbiters, is a rover. Your students can go and land on their planet, which means they can pick it up, they can hold it, they can look around, see if there's anything that they missed, or maybe figure out what a different texture is, or a different color could be, and confirm their observations about the planet. If your planets are maybe a little fragile, or you just don't want students handling them too much, you can just tell them that as the rover, you can just place one finger on one spot in the planet, and then you can ask them Why did they choose that spot to land on? This exercise works a lot on communication skills. Students only have about 30 seconds to do each one of their roles, a little bit longer for the ones that involve walking around the planet, but in general it's a very short period of time that they can look at their planet. Then they need to go back and tell the rest of their team what they saw and what they learned about the planet. They're then going to record these observations by making a sketch after each mission and write down any observations or thoughts. Maybe they think, oh, this blue might be water, or this might be clouds, or just anything that they think might be represented by the planet. If you do want students to make planets and share them with their group, you can have them write a key of what they think as the planet makers represents each thing. Like if they have a patch of blue, maybe that's water, or maybe the white is clouds. Metal, maybe they think there's a city on this planet. Students at the end of the exercise can then compare kind of what they think to what the other group intended it to be. Anyways, you want students to be creative with what they think it represents. There's not really a right or wrong answer. Maybe they think there's life there. Maybe they think it's a gas giant. It's up to them. This activity is great for kids of all ages. For younger students, you can make the planets a little bit more simple. For older ones, you can make it really complex. So they have to focus more on that communication. Maybe have something different on all different angles of the planet. For older students, you can also have them write out a budget or a project proposal for kind of how they think the order would go and how they think it would be funded, what do they want to look at on this planet, and stuff like that. This activity takes about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on if the students make their own planets or how long they're allowed to look at the planets before their mission is over. So that's the general idea of the exercise. We have more detailed information on our website, which I'll link below. We have the worksheet available on our website that we typically use when we do outreach. In our folder with all the lesson plans and the worksheets, we have a lot more detailed descriptions on kind of ideas for questions you can ask students along the way to really engage them in the lesson and bring in other things you've been teaching them. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to check out our website and our social medias for more opportunities and activities to do with students. Bye!